Hi, I'm Andre Andersen, and first of all I would like to thank you for buying our new album, Collision Course. Well, I can take credit for coming up with the idea of writing Paradox 2. When I first started writing songs, I just realized that some of them had this typical Paradox atmosphere. A little bit melancholic, and soundscape appears to be larger than our previous releases. So, as I said, can't take credit for it, it just happened. The idea found me, basically. I can't say I'm afraid of comparisons between the first and the second Paradox. I mean, we're talking about completely two different time frames here. Back in '97, people didn't have hundreds and thousands of albums on their hard drives and computers, and back in the day, if you liked the album, you actually bought it. So obviously today, people who have Paradox and like the first Paradox, they have completely different feelings towards this album. They have it, they have kind of like, there's sense of nostalgia always. So today is completely different, but at the same time I'll say the album's coming out 10 years later, so I'm convinced it's 10 times better, but obviously it's up to you to decide. We're all witnessing a lot of conflicts recently based on some kind of religion dispute, and my idea about it, my personal idea about it is that's not the religion is actually a problem. It's the physical frame of it, the symbols, churches, icons, whatever it is. So on this album we kind of like going back to the day where the first brick rock were put as a foundation for the very first church. Then the problem starts. My church is better than your church, my God is bigger than yours, and so on and so on. And it's like walking down the line from one event or conflict to another until today. That's the basic idea. It took us a year to record this album. It's probably the longest time we ever spent on an album recording. We used every possible trick to make it sound as good as possible, and obviously 10 years later I can look back on the first Paradox and see some faults there, which we could improve today. I'll say everybody worked extremely hard on it. Marcus, Per, and Allan, and Mark. We really wanted to do the best album possible today. Don't ask me tomorrow, probably tomorrow we can do something better. Well, we used quite a lot of guest musicians on this album. Doogie, Ian, Henrik, Kenny, Maria, Soma, Michelle. And the only reason we did that is usually when we're recording albums, we have one or two guys doing all these block harmonies and answers and this and that. This time we had quite a few of them. And it gives the album, I don't know, more colors in a way. It was kind of interesting, you know, so they're not doing much, but at the same time you have these different voices popping up in this song and that song, different places. And it creates a little bit more interesting atmosphere. I see it as, it's almost like changing, from time to time changing sounds of your keyboards, the guitars, you know, have like different voices there. They really made a difference also. I agree with the fact that most of our albums are a little bit different. Fear had this large symphonic sound to it, and on the Mission we started experimenting with those high-tech sounds, had some kind of like robotic thing going. Eyewitness was very straightforward, I'll say, and some Paper Blood had this retro thing about it. The only thing I know, without picking the best or the worst one, I'll say all these albums were necessary to come up with a new one. Well, the cover for this album was was done by an artist, Niall Parkinson, from Ireland. He was a fan of the band, so he sent me an email asking me if I was interested in working with him. Sent me a couple of drawings, kind of liked them. There's a great atmosphere in some of his work. So we started, I explained the general idea without going too much into details, but across the half moon, the burning cities in the background, the whole thing, and he developed it from there. Usually we're worrying about the cover after the album's done. This time, I mean, because he got in touch with me a few months before that, so we had plenty of time to work on all the small details. And I think in general this cover reflects very well what this album is all about. Well, at the moment we're promoting the album the best we can, and May this year we're starting the tour. After that, I don't know, probably a new album or something. Yeah. It's not much, but at least we have a plan. I've been asked a few times if we'll be recording any live albums or DVDs from this tour. I don't know at the moment, but one thing I know for sure is I'm taking the machinery with me, and we'll be recording some of the shows. And of course, I mean, if at some point in time there'll be a call for it, and if we'll be happy with the results, if the material sounds good and well performed, and which is most important, well filmed, we might put something out, of course. Thank you again for buying this album. I really hope you enjoy it as much as we did while recording it. Thank you. Bye-bye.